love it. I love bubbles. They're not working? Oh, come on. With that mouth, I can't believe you haven't got any bubbles going. Wonderful. Thank you so much. It is exciting to be here. This is the first meeting that I've done since we had the accident. No, that's not a good song. Oh, right. All of you that know that song, you know that's not a good song. This is my first ladies' meeting since the accident. I did a mother-daughter banquet in July, and when I talked to Mrs. Shear about what she wanted me to speak on, I always ask the preacher's wife, in case she has some ladies that are giving trouble and I need to talk to them. No, I'm kidding. I'm looking at the ladies that she didn't say anything. She did not tell me what to speak on, but I just threw out, and she said, well, the only thing she did request is that I talk a little bit about the accident. Well, I'm so sensitive that I'm afraid people will be tired of hearing about it. Do you know what I mean? But this is the only time I'm going to talk about it, I think. This is the only time I'm going to talk about it, but I am going to give a little encouraging talk tonight to you ladies that are going through a storm, okay? It's very hard to sing as you ride through the round of life. It's very easy to say. I see people here with some health problems. I've seen some people here so far already with health problems. And I'm thinking, it's hard to keep singing. Some of you here, you have husbands that have some kind of a debilitating disease or maybe a handicap, and it's very hard to sing as you ride with that. But boy, do I know after having a husband sick for 6 weeks. Oh, that's I have new admiration for Karen and the other lady in our church that have husbands that are in wheelchairs and sick. It's very, very hard. Some of you have your own personal battles with your health. Maybe you don't have a handicap or a disease right now, but maybe you're just having trouble with your mood swings and problems like that. Some of you, maybe you're having financial difficulty. All of us are having financial. There's never enough money, isn't there? Isn't that the truth? There's just never enough money. So I hope tonight that this talk will be an encouragement to you, not one that's going to make you feel down and want to cry, but one that will encourage you and help you to know that there is a way to sing as you ride through the round of life. Let's have a word of prayer. Father, thank you so much for your goodness. Thank you for these good ladies. And Lord, I do pray that at the end of this talk today that we will all be closer to you because of it. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Okay, open up your Bible to Mark chapter 4. Verses 35 through 41. Now, as you're opening your Bibles, I'm going to tell you something. God has prepared, God knew in advance that I was going to have that wreck on May the 14th, be involved in that wreck. He knew it. You know how I know it? Because January 1st, I started doing something new on a daily basis for my devotions. And I've been sharing that with people because I feel like I don't have enough faith. Is anybody here, you feel like you don't have enough faith? I'm with you. I relate to you. I know you. I live where you live every single day of my life. And as a missionary, I don't know how you have faith to trust God for every little thing. But we have to. We have to. We don't have a regular salary coming in. We just trust God's going to send money through our supporters to us, and sometimes the support's not there, and we're thinking it's going to be there, and it's not there. Sometimes I've called and said, did any money come in? And of course, they say, well, maybe $100, and you think, oh, it's supposed to be $600 at this point in the month, and so, but faith is forsaking all, I trust Him. Forsaking all, I trust Him. Can you say that with me? Forsaking all, I trust Him. So, January 1, I said, Lord, I'd like to do something different this year for my devotions. I'd like to be challenged in a new and different way to have more faith in you. So I said, I know what I'll do. Each and every day of my life, I'm going to try to recognize God working in my life in some way. I'm going to let God show me every day that He's real to me. I'm going to let God show me He is a strong God. Now, don't you all need a strong God? Those of you that I like the testimony that lady gave, the lady that does jewelry. I can't see her right now. But anyway, I loved her testimony because God is now real to that lady. That's why she was able to overcome those difficulties. I come from a very hard, rough situation. I know a lot about abuse in my own personal life, plus from my other family members, and I know the only way that I've survived is because I have a personal relationship with God. That's the only way any of us can survive anything that we're going through in our lives. So anyway, I'm going to say, God, you show me you're real. Now I'm going to give you 5 examples. In 1 week, I just wrote them down as an example of how I let God show me that he's real in my life and he works every day. Some of these you're going to say, oh, they're kind of ignorant, aren't they? No, you know what? These are just little, you can't expect to get $1,000 bills given to you every day of your life. That's not how God's going to show himself real. You know, so I'm going to just tell you, on a Monday night, one time, I wrote down these 5 days just to explain this thought to you. On a Monday night, we had traveled. Mom Walker was there. Mom Reger was there whenever we went to a meeting in Ewan, Alabama in April, and this is the week that I wrote down those 5 days. And so we were driving back from Ewan, Alabama, and she's a great cook, and she was going to cook food, but I knew she'd been driving with the rest of us, and I knew she was tired, and I said, Mom, we don't get to eat out very much in these fast food places, because, you know, there's no fast food place that wants a big rig like that to come pulling in there, you know. So I said, let's go to a Taco Bell. Man, the kids love Taco Bell. And so my husband said it was all right, and she said it was fine. She didn't get insulted. We didn't want to eat her food. And so the kids, we were all excited. We went down around the corner of her house and had Taco Bell. And you say, you mean God showed himself real to you by letting you have Taco Bell? Yeah, because he knows I enjoy Taco Bell. And I enjoy not cooking, and I enjoy not cleaning up the dishes. Isn't that great? Yes, yes, yes. So I got to eat a Taco Bell. That was Monday. Tuesday, I said, now, that morning when I got up, I said, God, I'm going to be looking. I want to see how you're going to make yourself real to me. And so that Tuesday morning, we got not one, but 2 phone calls about meetings. Do you know, as an evangelist, you cannot survive if you don't have meetings. That's why we were very much of a hurry to get back on the road, because we knew that all these wonderful gifts that people have sent to us were great and wonderful, but we needed them to replace items from the trailer, you know, because we didn't have very much insurance. So we didn't want to spend our money trying to survive. We wanted to spend that money that people had sent to us to get us back on the road. So we knew we had to you have to have meetings. So we got not one but 2. So that's what I wrote down for that day. Then on Wednesday morning, my husband and I, what we do for dates is go out for breakfast, because number one, because I like to go out for breakfast. I love somebody to just keep on pouring coffee in front of me. I like coffee. I like lots of coffee, as much as I can take. It's my water in the morning. That's what I think about coffee. But anyway, so we went for breakfast for a date, and besides, the second point about breakfast is usually it's very cheap, unless you go to IHOP, and that's not very cheap. But anyway, so I like to go out for breakfast for a date, so we went out, and we were trying to get ready to go to a meeting, leave that afternoon for a meeting, and so, but I had to go get some kind of a container. I don't remember what kind of container it was, but I remember I had to go get a container at, where's our favorite place to shop? Walmart. Right, so I don't always do this, because I like to walk, I need to walk, but I said, Lord, as we're driving in, I said, we got to really hurry, run in there and get right back out, because Kevin's being nice to let me even stop here. So could we get a really good parking space? You know how it is, don't you? We go searching through there, and all of a sudden, zzz, right smack in the front on the door, it was a super Walmart, to the door I wanted to go in, the parking space. And all day long, I just said, you know, God really loves me. He gave me a good parking spot at Walmart. You know? Then Thursday, we got to that meeting, and guess what happened to me at Thursday? I like teenagers. I don't know if you can tell or not, but I like teenagers. And one of those teenage girls who didn't even know that I liked them brought me an Almond Joy candy bar. Now, I used to like Reese's peanut butter cups, and I still like them second. But probably a year ago, you know that every 7 years your taste buds change. Did y'all know this? I'm teaching you something new here. I learned something tonight, so I want you to learn it too. Your taste buds change every 7 years. I have discovered this because I just get it down how to cook something that Kevin really likes, and his taste buds change, and he don't care for it that much. But anyway, so now I like Almond Joys. They're my favorite because I like that crunchy coconut in the center. And I like almonds because almonds are good for you, and I want to have something good while I'm having something bad. So that was happening on Thursday, and so I said, when that teenage girl came up and brought me that Almond Joy, it was just a little tiny thing. That girl didn't even know I liked them. But she brought me one. I said, God, you are so good to me because you know I need this candy today. So anyway, so then Friday I was in a ladies' meeting. I was helping with a ladies' meeting during that time, and a woman come up to me, and she said some very nice words to me that encouraged me. You know, there's times when people get up, you know, Any of y'all that speak in conferences, you get up and you say, oh, did I just blow it or did I just blow it? Did I lay an egg or did I lay, you think that sometimes. And you know what? It's great because when you think you do the worst, that's when God can work the most. If you get up here and say, oh, I did a good job there, I got them good. No, that's prideful. That's not good. So that's what happened on Friday. So you see the variety of things that I've been watching for in 2004, to see that God is real and that God is taking care of us. Little did I know on May the 14th that I was going to go through such a supreme test. Look at Mark chapter 4, verses 35 through 41. And the same day, when the even was come, he saith unto them, let us pass over unto the other side. And when they had sent away the multitude, they took him, even as he was in the ship, and there were also with him other little ships. So one big ship and a bunch of little ships, and Jesus was on the big ship. And there arose a great storm. See, those of you that are in a storm, Jesus has been in storms before, of wind, and the waves beat into the ship so that it was now full. And he was in the hinder part of the ship, asleep on a pillow. I like the way that God puts little details. That makes me know it's okay for me to use a pillow. Jesus used a pillow. It's okay, My chiropractor doesn't like him so much, but I do. But anyway, asleep on a pillow, and they awake him and say unto him, Master, now this is the stupidest question I've ever read. Anybody asking Jesus, carest thou not that we perish? Any of you, maybe some of you, your storm is your own self because the way you feel about yourself. You're the one that looks in the mirror and you say, oh, why am I living today? That might be your storm. I don't know what kind of storm you're going through, but I know God wanted me to speak on this tonight because Miss Marcia said so. And the preacher and the preacher's wife's one that directs God uses people to direct you. So carest thou not that we perish? Let me just tell you something. You're sitting out there and you don't think Jesus cares about you? You start watching for him. You let him show you that he's real, and you'll be shocked at how much Jesus loves you. And he does care that you perish. He cares how you feel. He cares so much. And he arose and rebuked the wind and said unto the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. And he saith unto them, and this is sad to me, that Jesus had to say this to somebody, why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith? See, faith is forsaking all. I trust him. So Jesus said to those people, he said, the opposite of fear is faith. So Jesus wants us to have faith. He wants us to believe in him. Now, you know what? My faith is small. Mrs. Benton, I don't have very much faith. I've tried to live by faith since 1990. That's 14 long years. I'm the kind of person that likes a salary. I like to know when the money's coming in. Don't you, Miss Storm? But God did not choose for me to live my life like that. Even if it's just a small paycheck, I'd rather know there's a paycheck coming. You know what I mean? But that's not how I'm supposed to live. I'm supposed to live by faith, trusting in God. And now, Mark 5, verse 36 says this, and suffered many things of many physicians, had spent all. That's not the right. Mark 5, 36. Oh, I was looking at 26. That's what my problem is. 36. As soon as Jesus heard the word that was spoken, he saith unto the ruler of the synagogue, Be not afraid, only believe. Believe means to trust. I use that when I'm out soul winning. I use a chair for the word believe. A lot of you believe in Jesus. Are you familiar with Jesus? How many? Raise your hand if you're familiar with Jesus. You know about Jesus, right? Well, I believe this chair will hold me up. I believe it's strong enough to hold this bottom and all the weight that's with this bottom. I believe it's strong enough. But I'm just believing in a one sense, but when I actually sit down on that chair, I'm really trusting in the chair. So when you accepted Christ as your Savior, that's when you sat down in the chair and said, okay, God, I know you're going to take me to heaven. I'm trusting you to do that. Now, let me ask you something. How many of you are believing in the sense that Jesus wants you to believe, where you're trusting him with your daily lives? Not many of us. We've learned how to trust in our credit cards. Some of you have learned how to trust in your minds. I can get away with anything. I know how to talk. Some of you trust in your voices. You know how to talk yourself out of any situation, and you know how to get that man to do whatever you want. I know how to get the kid. I can talk into. Some of you are trusted in those kind of things. But see, God doesn't want us to trust in anything but him. So that's what I'm still trying to work on. And see, the opposite of fear is faith. Mark 6:50 says the same thing. Mark 6, chapter 6, verse 50. For they all saw him and were troubled, and immediately he talked with them and saith unto them, Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid. God doesn't want us to be afraid. Now, let me just tell you this. I have a new way of believing and not being afraid. Having been through the accident that I was in, I have a new way of believing and trying to not have fear, but to have faith. Can I be truthful with you? I do have a real fear. I fear the Internal Revenue Service. Oh, I'm always thinking they're going to come around and get me. You know what I mean? I think they're going to come and they're going to confiscate. I don't even know how they find us at this point. But I'm thinking they're always going to come and take us away and lock us into jail. And, you know, and they're going to go through all my tax records and my receipts and they're going to find something wrong with it. And I think they're going to come get me. Now, any of you work for IRS? You're to tell, yeah, she's got something to hide. That's why she's afraid. No, really, I'm not. I don't hide anything. I keep good records, and I even pay several $100s a year because we even pay several $100s a year to have somebody do our taxes because I'm afraid to do it and afraid I'll make a mistake. See? So I'm scared. But that's not really what I'm not supposed to be afraid of anybody. I am supposed to trust that God's going to take care of me. You know, do you know we had that wreck in May? Do you know the Internal Revenue sent me a letter in June saying I'd done something wrong with my taxes? I said, what a time to get a letter from the Internal Revenue, God. You know, I thought, how come I have to hear from them amidst everything else I'm trying to get done? You know, so I just called my tax man, faxed him a copy of the letter, and he took care of it. But you know, see what I'm saying? I'm not supposed to be fearful. I'm supposed to trust. Now, let me tell you some things that I have to work at trusting him in. Number one, I have to trust him with my family. I'm looking out here at some gray-headed ladies. And I have a gray-headed mother. When she doesn't dye her hair, she's gray-headed. She dyes it brown because she likes us to keep brown what little hair she has. That little mother of mine. But anyway, she's in her 70s. And you know, it's very hard to trust you people that have adult children. I don't have adult children, so I don't really know what I'm talking about, except for the fact I've watched my mother have adult children. And you know what I think's hard for you women that have adult children? It's hard to trust your children to God. You want to jump in and protect them. I've seen so many adult people come in and take care of their adult children. You know, giving them money. People that are on Social Security are giving away their money to young people that should be out working and taking care of themselves. And you know what that means to me? That means you're not letting those children learn how to trust God. You know who they're trusting in? Mama, I need some money. My lights are going to get turned off. And there's this little gray-headed lady that's barely making any money at all. And she gives money over and over. And you say, how do you know so much about it? I have a gray-headed mother that comes to the rescue of my brothers and sisters. I've got 3 brothers that are alcoholic. Do you know how much trouble they've been in their lives? Do you know how many times that she's bailed them out of jail? I've got a sister that she just, sometimes she just calls mom and says, I need $200. And you know what my mom does? She just gives it to her. And you know why she does it? Because she wants to be a good mom. But she doesn't even realize she's taking the place of God in my sister's life, who's supposed to be saved and trusting in him. Some of you have children now and you're trying to rear them up. You know, they're still little. You know, I've got to trust God with these 3 kids that are riding around this motorhome with me. I've got to trust God with them. I want to be afraid that they're not going to turn out right. I want to be afraid they're going to turn out like, no. I want to be afraid that they're going to be bad and that they're going to grow up and be wrong. But you know what? I'm not supposed to be afraid. I'm supposed to trust. I'm supposed to do the best I can, be in every church service. See, you got to put feet to your trust too. So I'm supposed to be at every church service, and I'm supposed to be reading the Bible, making sure they're reading the Bible, and then I'm supposed to trust God with those children. And let me say something to you ladies that have children at home. Can you do yourself a favor and make God real to your children? That's really more than anything else, is if when your children gain faith, then that takes care of them living for God. When they start depending on, when my kids ask for things, I'll say, my little Joe, he likes everything. We go into a truck stop, he shows me 4 things every time we go into a truck stop. I hate truck stops because of it. And, I just say, oh, isn't that nice? Oh, yeah, you like that? And, all those things. And then, you know what? Sometimes he wants expensive things. We went into a truck stop recently, and he saw chaps. $239 for a pair of chaps. Now, Chaps. When is he going to wear chaps? What is he going to wear chaps for? But he just likes things. He's got one little drawer in we have one drawer for his junk. And it's overflowing with things. His underwear drawer, all his junk's went over to his underwear drawer. It's going out with the underwear and the T-shirts and all this, and I have to go through and clean out all the stuff he collects, And we were at this church, and a man promised him a rock. This is the truth. This was this week. We went out to breakfast with that man on Monday, and he told him he's going to give him a rock, didn't he? A special rock. Well, it's okay that the man didn't give him a rock. He's older. He forgot probably. He probably thought that little kid wouldn't care about that rock. Tuesday night, Joe came up to me and said, that man didn't bring me the rock, Mom. I wanted to say, praise God. We don't need the rock. Wednesday night, I was standing by the table, and Joe came up to me and said, Mom, he was just as serious as can be. Mom, he didn't bring me a rock again. I said, Joe, that's pretty... Now, look, in my heart, I'm still rejoicing. I don't need rocks. If he got a rock, about 2 weeks from now, I'd go through his drawer and throw it away, and he'd forget he'd ever gotten it, But anyway, I said, that hurts pretty bad, doesn't it, that you didn't get that rock? I empathized with him, because in his mind, that was a storm. He wanted that rock, and he didn't get it, He just thought that'd be neat to have a rock. What kind of a rock it is, I don't know. Don't even care. I'm glad I don't have it. But to him, that was a big, important thing. So I empathized with him a little bit. I understand, son. You didn't get that rock. That's terrible. But let's don't be mad at the man. God evidently didn't think you needed that rock. And I didn't for sure think you needed it. I didn't say that to him. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm always bringing God into our conversation. When he wanted those chaps the other day, I said, why don't you pray about it? I said, don't just pray like that God will give you the money, because if he gives you the money, I'm not going to let you spend $239 on a pair of chaps. I mean, you're putting money in the bank. This is more important. They have to put 50% of anything that they get into the bank, and then, of course, 10% goes to God, and then 10% goes to missions, and then the other 30% they get to spend. Wow, that's pretty good for them. But anyway, so if you got $239, you wouldn't be able to buy those chaps. I said, why don't you just pray that somebody gives you a pair that their kid has outgrown? I really challenge them like that. And you know what? That's what you need to do with your kids. You got teenagers that want clothes, ask them to pray about it. We pray about clothes because clothes are important to teenagers. When Jeannie wanted a khaki skirt, we looked everywhere. And you know how hard it is to find skirts? Any kind of skirts. And especially skirts that look good and aren't. So there's lots of criteria that we have to meet, because of traveling so much. And so, I said, Jeannie, we kept looking. I'm not even a big shopper. One of the things that's been the hardest on me on this wreck is I've had to go shopping so much. Some of you'd love to have to go shopping, wouldn't you? Go do my shopping for me. That's what you'd say. Yeah. But anyway, so I said, Jeannie, why don't we just pray about this khaki skirt? And we really sincerely prayed together about a khaki skirt because a khaki skirt was important to her. Some of you don't need to put down your kids' faith and their desires because on their level, that's a pretty important thing. I think a khaki skirt for a teenage girl was just as important as me being able to go on this cruise is. And that's an expensive thing, you know that. So we prayed about it, and Jeannie was visiting Grandma for her teeth, and Aunt Wanda took her shopping, and they found the perfect khaki skirt. Now, Jeannie didn't say, she said, Aunt Wanda helped me find it, but I know God is really the one that helped me find it. See, everything's God. See, that's what faith is. Recognizing God in your life every day. Do some of you like these beans and all that? I think it's pretty neat that we got to have those today. Do you understand? I thought it was neat that I got those cheese and crackers. I'm just going to go around enjoying the fact that I got to have that. You know what? Because I'm going to recognize the fact that God is the one that placed it in their thought to have that. They'd never had it before, had you? See? So having faith with your family. Having faith with your finances. We talked a little bit about finances. You know what? Part of faith, though, remember, you got to put feet to your faith. So part of your faith is being a good steward, which means that you tithe 10% off the top. I didn't realize it. We have a business. With our ministry, we have a business. I'm the one that counts up how much we take in. We put it all in the Roundup Ministries account, and I go through and I count it all up, and off the top. Completely. Book table, everything. 10% of everything that we get goes to God. It's quite a bit of money per month. And what's left over, we get to do whatever we need to do with it. And we need to pay our bills and all that stuff. But I've got to trust God with my finances. I can't guarantee anything. I can't guarantee anything about money. I can't guarantee anything about clothes. But I can trust God with my finances. Some of you just need to give up worry. You need to come to the altar tonight and say, I am not going to worry anymore about my finances. Now, you know what? Tomorrow you have to do the same thing, because if you're like me, I've told Kevin, worry is my hobby. I like to worry. I really do. It's fun for me to sit there and think of all the things that could happen and wouldn't happen and might happen. And what if this doesn't happen? I like to think that way. That's worry. And I like to do it. And Kevin says, I said, do you ever notice that men don't worry at all? Oh, he don't. In my mind, it's just the fact he doesn't even think about it. He's off thinking about creating more work for us, the kids and I to do. But do you see what I'm saying? But men don't worry. Most of the time, it's us women. We sit down and make a list of things we like to worry about, and we call it a prayer list. You know what I'm saying? Some of you really, and so what I'm saying is, if you have a problem with worrying, you're going to come down here at the altar, and then you have to come back tomorrow, and then the next day, and you're going to have to put it on your prayer list, and you're going to have to say, I need to give up worry. And then as soon as worry comes up, a fear or a doubt comes up, you're going to have to say, I gave that to God. I can't take it back again. And you got to keep reminding yourself, because what's happened is you've gotten into a habit of worry. And look, I'm living there, right? I've lived there for years of worrying. I'm confessing this to you. Most people speak about things they have problems with. And that's what I've got a problem with. I worry. I don't have any faith. I don't know. I don't realize God's working in my life every single day. I don't recognize him. But I'm trying to recognize him. The third and last thing that we need to have faith about is situations in life. And that's where I'm going to tell you about our wreck. May the 14th, we had been on the West Coast in California in meetings, and then we had stopped in Colorado and had some meetings, and then we were traveling across 80 to go to Missouri. We were going to go to the Agape Boys School there and do a revival for them for a week. And on our way, we had stopped and picked up a motorcycle for Joe for his birthday. He had given, my mom had given some money, and he had given some money, and grandma had given some money. It all put it together, and we were able to get him a motorcycle. That was fairly nice motorcycle. We took money out of his savings and did it. And they snuck it into the church and put it in a room and locked it up for us so that he wouldn't even know we had it. And we were going to Saturday night, May the 15th, we were going to have a birthday party. You know what's funny about me? I used to celebrate Joe's birthday on May the 16th. For years, I thought his birthday was May the 16th. That's what a good mother I am. Of course, he was young enough, he didn't know what day it was either, so it doesn't matter. But I've told him since how bad I was, May the 16th. Finally, I've got all our birth certificates at Mom's house in a safe, and I was getting out, and I was looking at it, I said, oh! And they said, what's the matter? And I said, Joe's birthday is May the 15th, This is how good I am, Oh, what a great mother I am. You're going to learn so much from me. But anyway, so we were going to have a birthday party. On our way to the boys' home, we were going to stop at Kevin's brother's house in Missouri and have the birthday party. She had already bought a cake and everything else for us. So Friday night, we were traveling across Colorado, and we got a flat tire on the trailer. And you know what I thought? When I always think this. When we are detained because of situations or a blowout or something like that, I always think, well, we're missing a wreck. I thought that. Isn't that funny? Oh, brother, we didn't miss any wreck. We might have missed a worse wreck, though. If we'd have been an hour earlier, I don't know. But anyway, so we were driving along, and we had a truck and a fifth-wheel trailer. How many of you know what a fifth-wheel trailer is? Okay, it hooks onto the back end of the truck, and in most states you can ride in the trailer because it's married. They're married. Not all states, but most states. So we were going to get there Friday morning so we can have all day to ride four-wheelers and have fun at Kevin's brother's house. And so we were driving through the night, and at 3 Kevin and I switch out just like we did Wednesday. We left Michigan Wednesday night, and we drove all night Wednesday night and all day Thursday, and then got here. We stayed the night in Billings in a Walmart parking lot. We went in there, and there was RVs everywhere. It looked like those big bugs. I think these motorhomes, I think they look like big bugs creeping in, But anyway, they're parked everywhere in the Walmart. So then we got up this morning and drove in here. But we switch each other off every 2 or 3 hours. We just switch out, and we could make it fine, no problem. So I went to bed and went to sleep, and 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and I called Kevin. I said, "Are you ready for me to switch out with me?" And he said, "Yeah, I think I think it'd be good if I did." We still had 3 or 4 hours yet to go. He said, "I'll pull off at Jeff City, and we'll get some fuel, and then you can take over." So I hung up the phone, and as soon as I hung up the phone, Kevin went around a corner, and we got into a slide. I'm laying in the trailer on the bed, and Joe's next to me, and KW's next to me, and Jeannie's laying in the back seat. It had folded down into a bed, and Jeannie was laying in the back seat of the bed, laying there, sleeping, and Jack was with Jeannie on the bed. Everybody's asked about Jack. He survived. Them dogs have 9 lives, too. But anyway, so as we were going around this corner, there was a new patch of pavement. It was lightly raining, and we had gotten into many slides. 2 years ago, or several years ago, Mom was with us when we got on black ice, and I was driving in Wyoming. You remember that, Mom? It was a miracle that we pulled out of that slide, but we did pull out. Several years before that, I was into a situation where we almost hit a fire truck. It was parked in the driving lane. A truck was in front of me. The truck moved over, and bang, there was the fire truck. The truck was next to me. It was a miraculous thing that happened, and I was able to get over and save a wreck. So we had been in many close situations before that time, and we had survived it. So whenever we got into the slide, and I knew we were not going to pull out. I was laying there, and I was wide awake thinking, we're not going to pull out of this. And this is the truth. I'm not a spiritual person, but probably because January 1st, I started recognizing God in my life every day. I said, "God," you've taken such good care of us, and we've been on the road 14 years and haven't had a wreck. I can't complain if we're going to have one now. I prayed that way. Then we started in the slide, and as we slid, this is what exactly happened. We were going south on interstate. It was a 2-lane road, and there was grass between, and then we ended up, as we were going south, Kevin says that he's tried to pull it out, and it wouldn't pull out. When the truck and trailer hit the grass, they just started turning. They disengaged themselves. The trailer, as it turned, left sides. As it turned over, this side left, and then this side, and then this side. Ended up that the trailer was laying on its side in the northbound lane with the tires sideways like this. Then the truck, evidently we figured this out. Kevin, when I called him and he decided he was going to pull off just in about 15 minutes at Jeff City, he took off his seatbelt. You know how you do that. I don't know if you all drive long hours or not, but sometimes you do take off a seatbelt. Maybe it's not wise, but we did at that point, and I'm not saying you shouldn't wear seatbelts. I think you should. But anyway, he took it off and was stretched like this, and as soon as he stretched, then he got into the slide. We think this is what happened. When he got into the slide, when the truck first turned, then it threw him out because he didn't have a seatbelt on. Now, Jeannie, the console, this wooden oak console between the two seats, it come loose. It was screwed down, but it came loose and hit her in the back, and I don't know what all saved Jeannie in that truck because the truck rolled twice. And as it rolled the first time, we think it threw Kevin onto he was in the driver's lane of the northbound traffic. And the truck, it had a piece on it, like a bed on it, and that bed was sitting up on the yellow line, the dotted yellow line, just like a pillar, like this. Then Kevin is laying right there with his feet next to the edge of the road and his head there. And so whenever the accident stopped, immediately, I don't know, but I'm that kind of an accident, an emergency person. I didn't cry, I didn't think anything, but I just got to start taking care of details. That was my mode of getting through this. So, as soon as it stopped, I said, "KW, Joe," and Joe said, KW said, "Mom, I'm okay," and Joe said, "What happened?" You could tell he was barely asleep. And we pushed them. What happened was, and we don't know how God did this, but the oak dresser that was across from us, we were laying here, and the oak dresser that was across from us ended up being underneath the three of us. It was me, Joe, and KW laying in the bed, and when I got up from the accident, it was me, Joe, and KW with the mattress on top of us. None of that makes sense to me. You know, when I've taken trailers and turned them over and tried to figure out, now how could that oak dresser have gotten underneath us? You know, but see, faith, you don't understand. When you learn to trust God, things don't make sense. Some of you that are trusting God and you're trying to live like you're trusting God, your folks don't understand you. You know, and don't even expect them to. You know, that's just how it is. So I said, well, let's go find out about Dad and Jeannie. And so we threw the mattress, pushed the mattress off of us. When we stepped up, there was sky above us. There was nothing of the trailer together. The trailer was behind us over here, and it was laying on its side back there. So we got up, and we went around there, and we were barefoot. And there was glass everywhere, and it was raining, drizzling rain, you know. And so we're walking. I'm so glad that I sleep with my clothes on. I was so glad I slept with my clothes on. That was really a blessing. But anyway, so we got up, and so we went. When I got out, Kevin was laying on the ground there, and he was moaning horribly because he had a punctured lung. He had 3 broken vertebrae. He had a fractured scapula, which is the shoulder blade. He had a broken nose. He looked awful. He had a cut on his eye, which made it bleed profusely. And so I come up to Kevin, and I said, Kevin, are you okay? And he said, well, just tell me, are the kids okay? You know, and I said, I'd seen Jeannie pop her head up, you know, sort of dazed, you know, of course. And so I knew we all were at least alive. So I said, I'll be right back. And I went and checked on Jeannie. And Jeannie said, yeah, I'm not hurt, Mom. I just couldn't believe it. You know. So while I went back to Kevin, and while I'm standing here next to Kevin, a preacher, a black preacher, and 2 truck drivers came up to us. And they said to me, they looked visibly shaken. You know, the truck was still idling, running. It had turned over twice and it landed up on its wheels. It was still idling, running, and there was a little bit of light from the cars that had stopped back there. And so these trucks went down this way, past us. And they walked up there and they said, has he been laying here long? And I said, well, evidently ever since the accident. And they said, we don't know how we missed him. See, they had come down off this hill, and because of the pillar, the truck, God had put a pillar there. They avoided the pillar and got over on the shoulder enough to not run over Kevin's legs. Who knows how? Except for there is a God. So I said, well, did anybody call 911? They said yes. So this is what I did to control my mind. I didn't look at Kevin very much. He was hurting too bad. I just stood there by him, and I didn't, you know how these cell phones are a blessing but a curse, because I didn't remember any phone numbers except for my sister in Tennessee, my sister-in-law in Tennessee. Isn't that awful to do that to her? But I needed to get a hold of his brother, which is 2 hours down, because I had 3 kids, a sick husband, and a dog. What was I going to do with them at 3:30 in the morning? You know, I just couldn't even figure out what do we do from here? That was what my thought was. We didn't have any home, any clothes. You know, it was just such a mess. And so I'm just standing there, and I said, do you have a cell phone? I tried to find my cell phone, couldn't find anything. And this one trucker said, oh, I'll use it. And I said, oh, it's going to be long distance. He said, I don't care. I thought that was really nice. I did rejoice about that. You know, I just started kicking in gear of being thankful for whatever I could get. So I got the phone, and I called my sister-in-law. And they were asleep. And so I said, Gary, Wanda, it's Loretta. I really need you. If you could pick up the phone. I just started doing that, you know. And of course, they didn't pick up the phone because they couldn't find it. You know, it was one of those cordless. They told me later. And so, but then later on, because of caller ID, he called right back. The man answered the phone, and he said, it's for you. I said, you're kidding. Who could be calling me? You know, in my mind, you hear I'm dazed, you know, from all this. Who could be calling me? You know, so it was Gary, and I'm trying to stay as calm as I can, you know, calling these people 8 hours away, and what are they going to do about all this, you know? So I said, I just need you to call Rick and tell him to meet me at Columbia Hospital. I said, we've been in a wreck, and, you know, I just need Rick. I need somebody to help me, because I don't know what to do about the, you know, I just started saying those kind of things as calmly as I can. I said, he's been injured, but I don't know how much. And at that point, I didn't really know how much. I just saw so much blood. And so anyway, I called her, and so she called Rick for me, and then I'm still standing there trying to keep I put all the kids in the truck, and when I put them in the truck, then the driver said, turn that truck off, because it was cold and raining. And so then I said, well, where can I put the kids? And they said, that black preacher said, I'll pull my car up. And he said, they can go to my car. I said, well, sir, I said, I know that you're probably a very good man, but the only way I'd put my kids in your car is if it's sitting right there. And so he backed his car up there. And I put the 3 kids and the dog there with him. And so then the ambulance came and loaded up Kevin. Now, after Kevin was gone, that was one of the very hardest times it was for me to trust God was when Kevin got in that ambulance and I had to watch the ambulance drive away. You know, you want to go with your husband. But here I had 3 kids and a dog, you know, and there was so much going on. I didn't know. I was very torn. That night I remember feeling very torn, but I just said, God, guide me to do what's best for the situation. So Kevin pulled off in the ambulance, and then I started trying to find out who was in charge and what we were going to do and all this stuff. And I started trying to find shoes. Poor Joe, we only found 1 shoe. He walked around with 1 boot Friday. You know, it was awful. And the boys had their sleeping shorts on. I don't think they'll ever sleep in shorts again either while we're traveling. But anyway, they had their sleeping shorts on instead of long pants, and they were embarrassed about that. And it was just all these things that you don't even think about, you know. I started going through, I started trying to find things. Can you give me a flashlight? I'm trying to find clothes and a coat. I had a wool coat on May 14th. That's the only thing I could find was a wool coat for me. So I put that on, and I found these boots. I don't even know what kind of boots they were, but I found these boots, and they were mud. I mean, so I'm all muddy and all wool coat on. I'm talking to the policeman. He made the black man leave. I said, well, you can make him leave, but where are my kids going to go? They got to get out of the rain, please, sir. You know, I never got ugly. I wanted to get ugly many times. But I said, God's not going to bless it if I get ugly. Because I can be ugly. I am very strong-willed, and I can be ugly. But I was very nice. And I said, well, where are we going to put them? And so they said, we'll put them in the fire truck. I said, oh, that'd be great for the kids. They'll like being in a fire truck. So they had to clean out the back seat. You know, it was a big mess, you know. And they put them all in the fire truck. And I said, and they said, well, can we do anything for you? I said, could you find my husband's wallet? I don't have any money. I don't have a credit card. I don't have a calling card. I don't have anything. Could you find my husband's wallet? You know, and so one of the firemen found his wallet, and all his credit card, everything was around it. You know, they picked up as much as they could, you know, all that. And so I had his wallet in this wool coat. I'm walking around. So then I go to the policeman. I said, now how am I going to get to the hospital? He said, he didn't know. That one didn't know. He said, I've got a dog in my back seat. You can't get in there. I said, I don't want to get in with your dog anyway, sir. You know, we were standing on the side of the road, and I was trying to make light of everything. And I said, hey, Jeannie, you know how it is when you wake up? What do you usually have to do after you wake up? Go to the restroom. I'm not trying to be risque or anything like that, but this is the truth. This is the rest of the story. So I had to go to the bathroom. I said, Jeannie, hey, there's our toilet right there, standing in the middle of everything. I said, I got to go. You probably got to go. I'll watch while you go. I started joking with her about that, and we laughed. You know, we were just trying to make light, you know, in a very heavy situation. So anyways, finally, he got another policeman to come, and he took us. We got to ride in a police car, and we weren't in trouble. Isn't that neat? We thought that was pretty neat, didn't we, Jeannie? We put KW up in the front seat with him, and me and Joe and Jeannie and Jack sat in the back seat, you know, and it was really great. We were on the way to the hospital, and the policeman really made me go because I was talking to the salvage yard man. I said, now, sir, every piece of paper in this is important to me. Don't throw a thing away. I'm sure he thought, man, this lady's weird. You know, our stuff is strewn for a quarter of a mile all over the place. It was like a tornado. It was a mixture of mud and rain and papers. We had all our materials everywhere. You know, it was just it was an awful sight to see. And I was going, every piece of paper is important to me, sir. You know, like that. The salvage yard, he liked me at the end because he made $7,500 off of the insurance company for that cleanup. Ooh, can you imagine? So we're in that. We got the policeman made me get in the car, and he said, we're going to take you to the hospital. And as we're driving. As we were driving north to go to the hospital, I said to him, I said, sir, are they going to let Jack come in the hospital? That's the dog. He said, I don't think so. I said, well, I don't even have a leash. I said, I can't just put Jack outside and say stay. He won't stay for very long, you know. I said, do you think we can find a motel? I had Kevin's credit card. Amen for credit cards at that point, you know. So I said, can we find a motel? And so we went to one motel, and they wouldn't let animals in. So then we went to another motel, and they were booked up because it was graduation week for that university, but they let the kids stay there till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So the second hardest time that I had that day was when I put the 3 kids in the motel room with Jack, and I said, I'll call you as soon as I know anything. To put 3 kids in there after what they've been through, to know they've got, but you know what? They weren't alone. Who did they have with them, ladies? God. Because mom and dad have been saying to them, you trust God for this. God's with you all the time. And we'd been talking about how God's real, all that. So they were in that motel room. And that was a very hard time for me. But I did it. So I left with this policeman. I rode in a car alone with a man. I don't even think my husband realizes this yet. I haven't told him, so don't you. So I got in the car with the policeman, and he took me to the hospital. And we went to the emergency room. And when we got to the emergency room, they said, Kevin Walker? We don't have any Kevin Walker. I thought, oh, no, I went to the wrong hospital. You know how you think all these things. I didn't say a word. Mind control, mouth control. If you're going to control the mouth, you got to control the mind. So I didn't say a word, and I let the policeman take care of it. He was my bodyguard. So he said, well, we just sent an accident victim here, and he said, oh, he's in surgical intensive care. Oh, when I heard that, I thought, oh no, surgical intensive care. He's had surgery, and all these things going on through my mind. So we went up. Now look, you've got to picture me. My hair, greasy, rain, no makeup. I look like a boy when I don't have any makeup on. I want you to know that. I just pitiful looking when no makeup. My hair was flat against my head, and I had those boots on, something like what you won, something like them, not quite, but something like those boots with a jean skirt on and a wool coat. May 14th, you don't need wool coats during May 14th, So I'm walking up there, and the intensive care waiting room is full with all these people. They'd slept there waiting for their people, to be able to go in. So it's full. I walk up there about 5 o'clock in the morning, and they start waking up because, I'm there. I think that's what happened. But anyway, so they start waking up, and I think, here I probably look like a bag lady to them, And so I call on the phone. They wouldn't let me go in and see Kevin. They were still working with him. It must have been closer to 6 because they were going to change shifts. And they wouldn't let me come in. They wouldn't tell me anything. The policeman said, well, you're on your own. I said, thank you. I talked to him about God, so he knew I wasn't really on my own. But anyway, so he left, and when he left, I sat down for the first time in about 3 hours. And you know what my mind started doing? It started thinking through all this junk that's gone, and started thinking, and started reliving and I said, nope, can't go there. Not time for me to relive anything, not time for me to think of all that. So I got on the phone. Best thing I ever did. I only could remember one friend's number, so I called that friend 6 o'clock in the morning. Have you ever got a phone call from a friend? So you better be a pretty good friend to call somebody at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I called her and I said, now look, I'm calling you to keep myself calm and get mind control, so don't get upset. I said, but I've been in a pretty bad accident. She goes, oh, no. And she started crying. I said, hey, listen, remember I called you to help keep me under control. We started joking around, and I really started joking about everything because I knew I had to do something. It wasn't time to break down. So I talked to her and told her everything, and she then let the college, we're associated with Hyles Anderson College, she let the college know what her husband did when he went into prayer meeting. Consequently, the phone, it probably was 7:30, and the phone started ringing like crazy in that waiting room. And every time it rang, it was for Loretta Walker. Those people, I tried to sit there and think, now what are these people thinking? Who is this bag lady? She must be something. I mean, just dozens of phone calls came in. People started calling from all over. I mean, even the nation found out about it within hours and started calling in there. And none of our cell phones worked, so I'm sure everybody was going crazy trying to figure out how to get a hold of us. But so I just kept going up, answering the phone and smiling. Thank you, Yeah. I don't look like much, but I am something. I got phone calls coming, though. You don't have any phone calls coming, do you? No. So I try to act like that, and have a little fun, and I said, I'm really a problem to you today, aren't I? You're not getting any sleep, are you? And they said, that's okay, ma'am. You look like you could use those phone calls. I said, you better believe I can use these phone calls. So every little bit, I'd go on the phone. Can I come see my husband yet? We're in an accident at 3:30 in the morning, and I still haven't found out anything about it. So I kept bugging them. And so finally, I got in to see Kevin, and I never really did talk to a doctor that first day. It was a strange medical situation. But anyway, I found out what was wrong with him, and we started working through all the details. And there's so many details. when you have an accident that involves your home and involves your way you make your living and everything, I've been cumbered about with a lot of details. I've already told Kevin, if we have an accident, I've already asked God to let me be the one that gets hurt so he can take care of the details. I'm just kidding. I hope. I'm just kidding. Anyway, isn't that something? We survived something. People want to be wanting to see pictures, so we put pictures out on the table, and there's pictures over there. We got the police report just a couple weeks ago with the pictures. And when you look at the truck, you think, how did Kevin ever walk away from that? Well, he didn't walk. God threw him out the window. Broke his nose while he's doing it. But let me just say this to you, ladies. I really believe January 1st, 2004, when I started looking for God in my life and trying to make sure he's real to me, I believe that's really when God started preparing me for May 14th. Now, I'm not telling you this so you can get prepared for a disaster. I don't know that you're going to have a disaster. But you don't have to have a disaster to need God. Some of you just need God with your children. Some of you are frustrated with your child rearing. You just need God to help you, to understand. And God will send people and books and to help you with that child rearing. Some of you need to trust God with your husband. He's such you know what he is. You just need to trust God with him because he's just unbearable. He's hard to live with. You just need to trust God. You need to trust God with your health. Whatever it is that you need to trust God with. Let me just encourage you. God wants to be real to you. God wants you to have faith and trust in him. Can I tell you what a hard time I have driving in that motorhome over there? I lay down and I can't hardly sleep in it because you know how it is? I sleep just a few minutes like this, but I said, God doesn't give me a spirit of fear. And so then I go back to sleep. So I'm still fighting fear. I'm still trying to trust him. There's two things that God gave me during this time that I really believed helped me. Jeremiah 29:11. Can you open your Bible to that and look at it? Jeremiah 29:11. I've always been one that looked up found a verse for every situation I got into in life. And this is the verse for our Rick, 2004. The Bible says, "For I know thoughts that I think towards you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end." When I started in that turn, and I said, God, I trust you with this, at that point, I knew God had a purpose behind it. And there's an expected end. Some of you, I'm looking at pastors' wives, some of you have troubles in your church. And it just so happened when I was at this church in July doing this mother-daughter banquet, they had just had a big problem in the church. And I went out with the pastor's wife and I said, ma'am, God's got an end to this. But it's hard waiting for the end. I love that skit about the Jesus, different kinds of Jesus, because we are fix-it people. Are you a fix-it person? I walk into a situation, fix this, do that. You fix it. But there's so many times in life you live with unfixable situations. And in those situations, you just got to trust God and say, I believe in you. I know you're God, and I know there's an expected end. And that's really what it's all about. Trust in God. Some people joke and say, oh, you weren't right with God and all that. So I just joke back with him, yeah, probably we weren't, but at least he didn't take us home. We probably still have something more to do. You better be careful. He might zap you through us, But do you understand? I can trust God. And I'm not at the end yet. We're still working with insurances. We're still, the paperwork and the phone calls. I know one week I was on the phone at least 14 hours taking care of details from this accident. And there's still so many things we're trying to take care of. But you know what? I may not, till I get to heaven, see the expected end. But I'm going to trust him with it. Let's have a word of prayer. Father, thank you so much for your goodness. Thank you for these ladies. Lord, you don't allow anything in our lives that there's not a purpose.